right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us as we delve into our second topic of discussion on this morning show. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCP, has pledged to protect Nigerian consumers from high price fixing and other exploitative prices, emphasizing its commitment to fair competition and consumer protection. In a recent statement, the FCCPC warned businesses against unfair practices like price gouging and collusion, stressing that while it supports a free market, it will take decisive action against harmful practices. In a recent development, traders and commuters in the Federal Capital Territory have expressed concern over the recent hike in the pump price of fuel by the NNPCL from 617 naira to 897 naira per litre. The fear that this increase will exacerbate the cost of living, particularly by driving up food prices and transportation fares, further straining the purchasing power of workers and households. In any case, the spokesperson of the NNPCL, Mr. Olufemi Shonoye, has also debunked the price increase. Meanwhile, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms has recommended increasing Nigeria's value-added tax from 7.5% to 10% by 2025. The committee chairman, Taiwo Oyedele, stated that this proposal is part of a broader effort to consolidate multiple taxes and improve the country's revenue system. Barrister Darlington, yes. Thanks for staying with us. And I hope Barrister Ekine is still there as our visual guest. Barrister Darlington, let me come straight to you.
Okay. Before you go on, let's quickly welcome one of us who decided to go out today to sample, to see the situation of things at filling stations around Nigeria. Fina, good morning to you.
Good morning,
gentlemen.
And welcome to this morning show.
Thank you so much.
So what was it like on the streets of Lagos, where we're broadcasting from this morning?
Nigerians are not
filling stations in particular.
Nigerians are not smiling. And filling stations too, they're not really helping matters because a lot of them are short to start with. They don't really have the product. And then also we have a few that have it and the price happens to be at 1,000. 1,200.
Pump prices.
Pump prices, yeah, very, very high. And that made motorists now to,
increase their own fares.
Apart from increasing their fares, some of them actually cannot even afford it. Some of them decided to down toll, saying that they're not moving, they're not going anywhere. And then that left a lot of commuters stranded.
At bus stops, unfortunately.
So many people actually are there stranded, yeah.
Oh, well, good to have you back.
Thank you so much.
So, Barrister Darlington, yes. There's a hike in the price of fuel from 617 naira to 897 naira. But the spokesperson of NNPCL, Mr. Olufemi Shonoye, has debunked the price increase. But should we also take Mr. Shonoye seriously, given the fact that in the past 2 or 3 weeks, he has made several statements and also came out to say the opposite? Should we actually trust the NNPCL when they make comments like this? Because as it is, yes. Despite the fact that he debunked it, like Fina just said, yes, fuel is selling at more than 1,000 naira in some filling stations. In some filling stations that are even open.
In some cases, they're even higher. In some cases, it is even higher. So what is happening is a clear evidence that nobody is in charge. It's a clear evidence that nobody is in charge. People just decide in their own small corner what to do to you as a Nigerian citizen. Who is bearing the brunt of all this? Is it not the ordinary Nigerian? Who doesn't have a name in an NPC or Dangote Refiner or the federal government? They are the one bearing the brunt. So when you hear statements like this, and another thing is on ground, in reality, it tells you that nobody is in charge.
What do you mean by saying no one is in charge?
Because if it is a country governed by law, you cannot go above the official price stated by the government. You know the consequences.
But Barrister, are we still looking at the official price?
For how many months now? People have been buying at different prices.
Are we going to be looking at the official price of the product, given the fact that the retail arm of the NNPCL now happens to belong to a particular or a private entity now? Can we also say the government will wake up to dictate how much this entity or this organization will sell the PMS?
That tells you that whatever arrangement the NNPC made with that private organization is tainted with fraud. Because if it is clear, they are not supposed to be, because NNPCL is now a limited liability company. I don't even know why Nigerians are not questioning that. I don't know why you and I, we have not asked government, what is this role NNPC is playing now? Since it's not a limited liability company, how can it enter into any business with another smaller company? And now the company is now in charge of fuel distribution. Is that not fraud? So that's why I told you that nobody is in charge. Because this company you are talking about now may be the one increasing this pump price.
Oh, well, right. Barrister, we don't want to put out allegations. Yeah. We just,
I say maybe because they are the one collecting from NNPC.
NNPCL, the shareholders of NNPCL are still government agencies. So they still, individuals cannot at this time buy into NNPCL as it stands. But talking about...
But is that the truth? Is that the truth, Moses?
Barrister, that's the information we have. If you have a different information, I would like to hear it.
You are here when oh my God, you were here when OVH enter into an illegal arrangement with this NNPC. Up to today, people in that industry are questioning that merger, that agreement. Up to today, up to tomorrow, they are questioning it. It is not pure. And we are looking for evidence. What are they? How, you mean they should come and tell you, what we did is not wrong? It is left for you to read the handwriting on the wall. Okay. And know that this thing is not pure.
Okay. Let me come to Barrister Henry Kine, if you're still with us. Barrister Henry. Just trying to establish contact with you to ensure that we still have you online virtually.
I'm
okay.
Here, actually.
You're still with us. Oh, great, great. If you're still with us, in this conversation now, how can NNPCL filling stations still, dictate prices, seeing that the filling station has been bought over by another entity? Should NNPCL still determine the price, the pump price of premium motor spirit?
Yes, I think if you permit me, I may have to take a different perspective. It's not about NNPCL. NNPCL is not the state per se in real terms, being a limited liability company. Even if it's clear that the shares of NNPCL are held in trust of Nigerians by two incorporated entities owned by states. That's the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, and I think another incorporated. But the fact is this. Excellent. The fact is this. Price of commodities that are essential to any state can be controlled. Please permit me to go more like on the legal framework with respect to controlling prices of commodities in a country, even in the most of the capitalist and free economy societies. Because the argument has been that, Nigeria is a capitalist society and more of a free market economy, such that the forces of demand and supply should determine the prices of commodities and goods. Like I said, even in the most of the capitalist economies, that's economies that are clearly capitalist and then with free market economy, there is still price regulation and legislations and institutions in that regard for certain essential commodities. That's the situation in Nigeria as well. Most Nigerians, including my colleagues and lawyers, do not even know that we have the Weight and Measures Act existing in this country. So the legal frameworks around the price regulation regime and that enables the states to regulate prices will include the Weight and Measures Act. Would also include the institution we referred, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, and then principally the Price Control Act. Now, when we have these legislations, the purpose is that even if we operate a free market economy, that certain commodities should enjoy the power of states to control prices for the benefit of citizens. So you find a situation where petroleum, I refer you to the first schedule of the Price Control Act that listed petroleum as one of those commodities to be controlled in terms of prices. So control commodities in the first schedule of the the Price Control Act will include petroleum. So this particular commodity, energy, cannot be allowed to be in the hands of capitalists in terms of determining prices for citizens. It will have serious effect on the economy. That's what we're experiencing in this country. Sometimes I wonder how our leaders, who are expected to be educated and know these things, and make policies in such manners that we even wonder how they think. You You don't leave energy and the main source of energy in this country in the hands of capitalists.
Barrister Kine, I like your take on this, but I also know that the Fccpc, the act which you just mentioned, is also against the deliberate creation of monopoly to stifle competition. And that seems to be what is happening, given the fact that NNPCL gave out its retail arm to a private company, OVL. Sorry, OVH. OVH is now in charge of the retail distribution arm of NNPCL, a government privately owned organization. And in the same breath, the NNPCL has come out to tell us that they will be the sole buyers and distributors of products of Dangote refinery, which is more like an oligopoly. Two companies, trying to create some kind of monopoly to stifle competition. Barrister Henry, isn't that against the Fccpc, against the Fccpc Act?
Excellent. It is apparently, but let me quickly state a fact. It will not really be an issue even where you have a monopoly with respect to a particular commodity. It does not take away the power of state to regulate the price of that commodity. Let me make a fact before I get to the concept of monopoly and oligopoly here. The point I'm making emphatically is that the state has the power to control prices of certain commodities, and in Nigeria it includes petroleum. So take a fact: if the state exercises this power and fix a price and control the price of petroleum products, it does not matter whether the single dealer as a monopolist is in that society, it will be bound by that controlled price. That's the point I'm making. So at that point, when we have the price, I don't think that Nigerians are bothered about who imports or who solely buys and distributes petroleum product, but it's about the price. Yeah, now the argument about monopoly here would have meant that a situation where the price is not controlled by state, then it becomes purely and absolutely on the vagaries of demand and supply. That is where the monopolist will control the price. But it does not matter whether there is a monopoly in a particular commodity or a monopolist who solely controls the purchase and distribution of that product. But if the product has a controlled price, it is an offense to go against the controlled price. Let me state clearly the provisions of this Price Control Act. The federal government has a board established under that act. So the board has a responsibility to take into consideration the cost of production, all these taxes they even are reviewing, the cost of distribution, and even the profit, allowable reasonable profit margin for any operator in that sector, even if it's a monopolist, and then to fix a price. At the state level, you have the Price Control Committee. Now, when you have all of this and then there's an imposition of a price, the law is the effect that when price has been fixed and then there's that imposition, it becomes an offense that is punishable for anybody to sell above that price, even if it is a single distributor, a sole distributor of that commodity. So right. I think it's a failure of the state to take advantage of these laws the state has to control prices, including petroleum products. The other speaker was talking about, oh yes, there are different prices with respect to petroleum products in this country. Ought not to be so.
I'm happy, Barrister Henry, that you went that route anyway. Why I say that is the fact that Fccpc jump in on traders who are, doing their business, saying that they have to give them just 1 month ultimatum for them to crash the price of the commodities, whereas they're not looking at how the people are bringing in the goods, the cost of importation, even transportation in Nigeria. They're not looking at that direction. Now, do you also think that this is more like a targeted attempt on Nigerians to, still make our economy also during the demo?
Exactly, that's the point I'm making. That's why if you observe, my emphasis has been on the cost of energy, which is more even within the hands of the state. So the Fccpc should focus first on ensuring that, look, there is a fixed price that is controlled by the state on this very essential commodity that by extension influences the price of goods and services in this country. That's why I said earlier, I don't know how sometimes some of these our leaders think through before they make policies. The Fccpc wants to take this step.
As we coast home now,
but they should first ensure that we have a controlled price on this essential commodity around our energy mix in this country. And then they can go, yes, I agree that they have the power to control price of commodities, especially when it gets to even food and other essential commodities. But I'm afraid again that the Price Control Act has a limited number of items under that first schedule. So I advocate and I advise that we should rather even get to the National Assembly to expand, to amend that act and expand the items of commodities within that first schedule to include a lot of our food products and even agricultural products. That price should be controlled in this country. We must have first the people on the policy we are making. Our policy should be people-oriented. Our policy should be driven for the welfare of citizens, not to increase revenue. Imagine the recommendation for increase from 7.5% of VAT to 10%, so that they want to expand the revenue base. No, now.
All right, Barrister Henry.
Now,
all right. So
I want to add something here.
Yes, let's have that with your concluding thoughts as well.
Good. There are some laws that are overtaken by time. The Price Control Board was popular in the 70s and I think
early 80s.
Middle 80s. But modern economy cannot accommodate it. Modern economy today cannot, because everything have changed. Okay. Let's take, for example, the power industry. You know that the power industry has been unbundled. Okay. You have so many discos in different...
You have a minute.
You have so many discos all over the country that they are providing services. Right. If you go and check, they are not, their pricing is not the same thing because of where they are located.
Okay. So even development?
Yes.
All right.
It's not. So if you want to implement some of those things, all the variables must be intact.
All right then.
You cannot go and tell a man who sourced his phone from black market that somebody who got it from the government to sell at the same price. It's not possible.
Unfortunately, we are absolutely out of time, and we can't take concluding thoughts now. But we must say it's been quite educating having you gentlemen in the studio, and virtually we've had Barrister Henry Ekine. Well, Barrister Henry, thank you very much for coming as well.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Barrister Darlington, thank you once again.
We'll
take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have trends.